Hello. Okay, it's been a while since we've done a Lily Reads. However, we are now back. I have not deserted books. It is fine. Now, today's entry is a little bit different because we are looking at Under My Hat, Tales from the Cauldron, edited by Jonathan Strahan. I think that's how you pronounce Strahan. I apologise if it is not. This book is actually primarily designed for, it's marketed as a children's book. I would say it's probably more YA audience. However, as an adult, and I use the term loosely, adult, I would thoroughly recommend this book. I had a bit of a struggle when I was sort of making my notes for this review, to be honest, because normally as a reviewer you need to find some sort of minor criticism, you know, even if you love it, you find something you could say needs to be improved upon. But with this, I was like, no, there is nothing apart from there needs to be more of these books. It is an absolute, I just adored it. It was brilliant. Now, the story behind this book is Jonathan Strahan started sort of tackling it as a project because it is a collection of short stories by a lot of different writers. But he started tackling this when his 8-year-old daughter came to him and said, "Can I read one of your books?" And he realised none of his past works were suitable for an 8-year-old to read. So he decided to put together this collection of short stories based on the theme of witches and witchcraft. Now, I'm going to hold this up and you can see all of the authors listed there. There's a lot of them. One of the things I really loved about this, one of the many things I loved about this, is the scope of the different kinds of witchcraft details in all of the different stories. Because you look at witchcraft in modern culture and you have everything from Harry Potter to The Wicked Witch of the West. And this book is kind of lays that out absolutely beautifully. You know, it goes from everything from your classic fairy tale witches to realistic representations of actual practicing modern pagans, you know, through to complete fantasy characters, through to quite dark characters as well. And the scope of it is beautiful. There's such a variety of not only types of story but writing styles within it, which is great. I ended up picking this up basically because I got this just before I went into hospital, and I was like, I want something to read. I just want something that's not going to be difficult, that I can just pick up. And, you know, I was kind of banking on being quite tired and out of it, to be quite honest. So I was like, oh yeah, short stories, that'll work. And I knew it was for kids, but I was like, I'd kind of literally pit stopped at a general store on the way to hospital and realised, in my panic over having surgery, I hadn't picked up anything to read, so I literally just grabbed it. I was like, oh, witchcraft, short stories, that'll work. And I'm so glad I did. There's about a dozen stories in here, but I'm going to run through some of my favourites. I apologise if I pronounce any of the names of either the writers or the characters wrong, okay? I haven't heard them pronounced before a lot of times, so forgive me. Okay, one of my favourites is Philidis, by Tanith Lee, and it's the story of a kind of vagabond wanderer called Radlow, and amongst his travels he bumps into this cat witch called Philidis, and she has a familiar called Jahankin. That's how it's pronounced. And it's like nothing I've ever really read before. It's very imaginative, it's very original. It's, you know, you're not going to pick it up and it's going to be like, oh yeah, another story about witches and wizards. And no, completely different, very imaginative, really storyline driven. When you read books as an adult that have initially been designed for a younger audience, quite often one of the difficulties is that as an adult you kind of guess the storylines, and it's quite hard to, you know, for the book to kind of stay ahead of you, if you like. But this story absolutely does. It is one of the longer stories in the book as well, but really love that one. The other one is Anderson's Witch by Jane Yolen. Now, to quote the story directly, it is about a beautiful witch who was outwitted by an ugly old digiter. It's just beautiful. It's just one of those stories that you read and you're like, oh, it just makes you feel happy. And oh, yeah, it is, as if you hadn't guessed by the title, it's a story that is obviously a fictional account of how Hans Christian Andersen's life came to be what it was. And the references in it and the imagery in it, and it's kind of beautiful because it turns the Hans Christian Andersen life story into exactly the kind of story he told. It's beautiful. It's just, yeah, it's just one of those happy stories you read and you just love it. Also want to give a mention to Witchwork by Neil Gaiman, one of the bigger name writers, I would say, in this book. It is a poem, and it is one of those kind of works that you read, and you read it in a book and you have to say it out loud. You read it through and it's just the rhythm of the language in it. It just makes you want to say it. And it's so beautifully done, and the imagery in it is stunning, as you would expect from Gaiman. But yeah, again, another one of my favourites. As with all of the books I read, there will be a link to get it in the description down below. There will also be a link to my Amazon shop, which will list all of the books that I've reviewed. So if you remember me reviewing something from a while ago and you're like, oh, what was that called? Have a click on that link and it'll be listed down there. Bye!